You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and today we got Triple Play breaking the ice today. I'm joined by a special guest and three others. On mic one, we got the host of the Triple Play here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. It's Tanner Price.
Howdy, everybody.
How's it going? And also, sharing the mic number one with him, we got New York Rangers coverage in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the greatest DH ever. It's John Gyftopoulos.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be on finally, making my debut.
It took him how many years to make it?
Took a while, but I'm finally here now.
Let's give it to him. Back on mic 2, we got Devil's Report.
That's my name now?
Yeah, bro.
No,
yeah,
but I appreciate you having me on again. Big W for the Devils. Big week for the Devils. Excited to get Chad in here because we got a lot to cover, especially me and Justin to my left.
And on mic 3, we got Devils Fanatics.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? And by the way, I just want to share, I saw this guy named Devils.Report at the Devils game yesterday, bro. He's like a celebrity, man. He's so cool, man. I wish I could be him.
Dude, I wish I
that?
could be him too, dude. I don't know. I've heard he's like, legendary.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I'd love
as well.
to meet him one day.
Me too, man. Me too. But sadly, AJ Chasen's not here today.
He's too scared
He's
to come.
scared
He's scared
of the Devils fans.
He wants to use the snow that we're experiencing right now as
man.
an
He
excuse.
said, "Listen,
Yeah.
how dare
He
you
grew-
prioritize your safety on the road and driving home over us? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Just because
Wait.
there's a snowstorm coming doesn't mean that's good enough excuse."
Nope.
He grew up in Wyoming, didn't he?
No, Montana.
Montana. Okay. Same thing.
Yeah, basically.
He
Same
grew-
thing.
he
He's about to
grew-
call and be like, "Take it back now."
He grew up in Montana and he is complaining about snow. Like, I don't want to hear it. That's a
Yeah.
classic Penguins fan excuse.
There you go.
Yeah, he's too
All
scared.
right. Well, for those who don't know, the Devils ended up beating the Penguins yet again in overtime this past weekend, I believe. Was it Sunday?
Yep.
So now AJ loses the bet and he has to wear Devils gear next week, provided by our Devils fans here on Breaking the Ice. So we're going to hop right into it. We got two Rangers fans, two Devils fans, and myself, the Florida Panthers fan of WMSC, here live. We're going to hop into the first topic this week. It's the big one. We all saw Bruce Boudreau get fired. And everyone was emotional. When Rick Tocchet was hired the same day, he got booed by Canucks fans at his opening game. Everyone, we're just going to go down the line. Mike 1 to 3, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier on the Triple Play, shameless plug, sorry.
Shameless plug.
Wednesday 1 to 3. 1 to 2. But yeah, I was saying earlier, it's something I've never seen that before. So someone said earlier it was like Wilmer Flores with the Mets a couple years ago, where something is going to happen, but the person is still there. He's not going to be there tomorrow, or he might not be there tomorrow, and he's still there and he's still coaching. And it was weird because all of the fans had his support, all of the players had his support, but you knew that wasn't going to do anything, and it was just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in any sport.
It's their second head coach fired in the last 14 months, I believe. That's honestly, does that make your organization just look bad as a whole? What do you guys think here?
Honestly, the Canucks, they handled this situation horribly. Like, if you put out a rumor that you're going to fire a coach, you should make that happen right away instead of holding on to the guy, because it's just not a good look for the organization as a whole. I see a lot of people criticizing the owner, Jim Rutherford, the way he handled this situation. It's just not like the fans, they got his back too, as you saw.
Yeah,
They
the
were
Bruce
chanting,
there it is
yeah.
chance, man.
That was pretty emotional, honestly. Like, you saw his reaction. He broke down crying a couple times in interviews as
Now,
well.
I don't believe the fans should have booed Tocchet either. That's not his
No,
decision to
definitely
step in
not.
as
Yeah.
head coach, but, whatever.
No.
They just, that didn't, they meant it in a different way, I guess.
He
But
got thrown into the fire, basically.
he got the bad end of
Yeah,
whatever.
That's just pure emotion from a fan base who is honestly hurt by their ownership. I mean, they give hours of devotion, their time to this team to watch them on a nightly basis and give them their support, and to just be treated like that. And it's not Bruce Boudreau's fault that the team wasn't doing well. Like, you're only
Exactly,
only
yeah.
as good as your players are, and there's been a lot of questionable decisions over the years by Vancouver, and it's just it's not fair. Like a coaching change isn't really gonna solve the root of the cause. It might temporarily make the record better or make it worse, who knows. But it's disappointing to see, and I just really felt for Bruce Boudreau because like you saw all these people were emotional, all these players were crying, coming to him and crying. Like
after the game.
That's some powerful stuff, and it's upsetting to see. And just a little funny thing I saw on Spit and Chicklets, Barstool's hockey podcast, Bruce Boudreau scored his first NHL goal on Jim Rutherford, which I just find hilarious. It's like obviously it's probably not the case, but like guys holding this grudge for like decades, like
Yeah.
it's just crazy things happen in the sports world. You all know that.
Yeah. And can we, like, the Canucks, I feel like we could look at them and say, like, they're like a dumpster fire right now. And, I mean that in a harsh way. They're a dumpster fire right now. Like, first of all, like,
you mean that in a nice way?
And I guess not. Yeah, fair enough. But
He just caught the Instagram clip of the week.
Let's go. But, this is Bruce is a long-time head coach around this league, very respected by probably the whole league. He's been around for a long time. And the fact that the players had his back and they still went on to fire him, I don't know. It just is. It's not a good look for the organization at all. The Canucks are a team that they have a lot of young talent, but they still can't find a way to put it together. They're rumored to trade Bo Horvat this season.
That's been happening forever.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen at some point, whether it's at the deadline or off season. It's bound to happen. The Canucks are a mess right now. I don't know what they're gonna do. Obviously the players they cannot be happy about this. The fans are obviously not happy about this. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Vancouver go into flames again, just like in the 2011 Stanley Cup Final real soon.
Oh boy. But yeah, Boudreau, I believe after the firing, he already has like TV deals lined up. Like he could return to NHL Network as an analyst. I saw a bunch of stuff for him already. It's not like he's gonna be out of work. He's still gonna be in the media world, but not behind the glass. I'm sure he can get another job somewhere. Dude, Florida's calling right now. Trust me. The way Paul Maurice has been going, all the fans like despise him. Like they don't. A lot of them are like they don't want him as the head coach. So who knows what can happen there? There will be openings. There will be head coach openings in the offseason. There's most likely going to be, and Rick. As for Rick Tocchet, I'm assuming this is his chance. This is his Andrew Brunette era. You know what I'm saying? This is his Bruno era. Become the interim head coach. And, is this even an interim hire, or is he like the new head coach?
I think it's an intern.
No,
or is he just the new one overall?
Is he really?
I think he was officially named the head coach.
Yes, this isn't even like a temporary thing.
I think that they announced he was the 21st.
And for it to be the same day, and for them to really commit to a new head coach like that, they've been thinking about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe Jim Rutherford said he'd been talking to coaches and just people about coming on board before the season and during the season.
Oh boy.
And I think that is kind of what set this in motion. Like this might not have happened if he didn't say that, but I'm sure people were going to be like, so why do you have Bruce Boudreau here, and just keep asking him questions about it. And he was just like, well, I guess that could have changed his decision, that he brought it up. Yeah, I think I also saw he said he was that they started blaming Elliot Friedman because
I saw that.
He kept talking about it. But if you're gonna fire a coach, don't blame the media guy for talking about it.
I think who's really at fault is the Canucks for letting it get out there. Like you can't blame the reporter, like you said, Tanner, for doing his job, but that is not something that should leave the organization. There's no excuse for that. And now this poor guy Boudreau had to coach these games knowing that he wasn't going to have a job anymore. I mean, he quite literally said at one of his pressers, like, well, I'm not fired yet, but like he knew it was coming. Like come on, like this is the highest hockey league in the world, the highest touted hockey league in the world, and something like that we really let get out into the public, like that's just unprofessional. It's not cool, it's not fair, and it just adds on to, like Justin said, the dumpster fire of the Vancouver Canucks, and hopefully this time their city doesn't end up in flames.
That's the Canucks for you.
That's the Canucks for you. Well, regardless, with that being the biggest story this past week, I think there's no other story that's been like encapsulating the media of the NHL. But we still got a ton of stuff to cover here. We're going to go...
I just want to interrupt you real quick.
Go right ahead.
Kevin Weeks just tweeted now. I'm told per Vancouver forward Andrei Kuzmenko's camp, they've had discussions on a contract extension. Potential bridge deal could land 2 years, $5 to $6 million AAV, which even points, if they're going to extend Kuzmenko, that even points more to the fact that they're going to trade some other pieces.
Bo on the way out the door.
Maybe even Brock Besser. I don't know.
Interesting.
Steve
Interesting.
Miller too.
I thought they just signed him to a big contract.
Yeah,
They
JT is not going to be tradable. They signed him to a massive contract, and
Elias
a lot of
Pettersson?
Vancouver fans have
Pettersson,
harsh
yeah.
feelings for him.
Elias Patterson, New York Rangers. No.
Nah, Patty Kane, New York Ranger.
Regardless, we're going to jump right into it. Of the divisional coverage every week, we're going to start with the Pacific Division thus far.
You mean the Pacific Division that the Devils are undefeated against?
Yes, that division.
I'm saying that until they lose.
Until they lose one Pacific Division game? Well, I mean,
Came
listen.
close last night.
8 teams in the division. There's 16 games. How many games have they played against the Pacific?
Like
11 now.
So there's 5 more. They got to take out 5 more games from the Pacific Division, and they'll go undefeated against the Pacific all year long. But Vegas had a bad week, but still in first, holding on strong. The only team they were able to beat is the Caps. They lost to the Devils in OT last night. Would y'all like to dive right into that one here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it right now. Do it right now.
Well, I mean, looking at Vegas, I don't know. They're just very inconsistent right now. I mean, they're not playing really that great hockey. I mean, we saw me and Daniel both saw them in person yesterday. I don't know if there's really anything that really stood out to me about Vegas as a hockey team right now.
No, I mean they weren't bad, but like they weren't. You're right. Nothing stood out. I mean, their goal differential is only plus 16. Edmonton's is plus 22, and
They've
they're
lost
3
5
spots
of their
lower.
last. The Golden Knights have lost 5 of their last 6 games. By the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on in the injury front, but there seem to be a lot of no names in their lineup. Like the guy, I believe Ben Hutton, scored the first goal for them. I had quite literally never heard of him until last night.
He got the penalty in overtime.
But yeah, he also did take the penalty.
He's their
in
third
overtime.
string. He's their third line right defenseman.
Yeah, so it's. I don't know. It seemed like that there were just a lot of people who I'd never heard of in their lineup, and for me, like that, it's rare that I don't know that many players. So that
I hear you.
But it's I don't know. It's Vegas just seems like they always find a way to be good, at least since they became a team. But I don't know. Well, I think they're gonna get back on track. I mean, Jack Eichel was invisible last night.
Yeah.
He did nothing. And that's obviously very uncommon for him.
Yo,
So
check out this Corey Perry goal up here real quick. You want to see this? Look.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they tied that game last night.
How about the Edmonton Oilers? Like, can we say, like,
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they have a shot to win this division now? I feel like a month ago we were talking about them and, like, oh, they're inconsistent. Connor McDavid carries and stuff like that. But
Dude,
look,
Zach Hyman's playing great right now.
They have a lot of
He's got
players.
he has like 9 points. He had a 3-game stretch of 9 points in those 3 games. Like, and they've won 6 straight games in a row. They're on fire right now.
If you have McDavid and Draisaitl on the same team, you should be good. So I wouldn't be surprised if they.
I mean, the furthest they've made it is the Western Conference Finals, though. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we know this team's good enough to make the playoffs, but that's where it's like the Leafs of the West.
Literally.
yeah.
The Leafs of the West is the best way to put it. Because, like, they're still 4th. You know what I mean? They're still 4th in the Pacific, even though they beat Vegas, they beat Tampa, they beat Seattle. That's 3 quality wins.
What do you guys think about Jesse Puljujärvi? Because he has shown signs of consistency, but he just never put it together, and his numbers this year are not very good.
I mean, Edmonton should have traded him when he was worth the first-round talent when they had the chance. I mean, the guy, he has like 10 points, I think, this season?
10 points in 47 games, minus 14.
I don't know, like, if he's playing on the 4th line. I don't know, like, what his playing time is.
Tanner's got the McDavid jersey on
Yeah.
right now.
It says 12 minutes. I mean, that's really not enough.
His ice time's definitely getting suppressed, and his chances for percentage is 53.4, so it seems like they're getting the chances, maybe just not burying them, but I mean, 4 goals in 47 games. He was a big piece of their run. Was it last year?
Last year they went to the
He-
Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, he had 36 points in 65 games. Now he'd have to score 26 points in 18 games to live up to that. And he was a plus 22 last year, minus 14 this year. So something's clearly different. His ice time's down almost 4 whole minutes. He was in the Selke conversation last year. He not as a front runner or anything, but he was at least mentioned. That was his age 23 season. Now he's 24, and it seems like he took a massive step backwards. So that's very interesting because he's always, for years, been a centerpiece of trade rumors, and now it seems like his value is at the lowest. So do you hold on to him? It's a tough call if you're Edmonton.
Very tough call, honestly. I have no clue what you do there. Like, do you just cut your losses and trade him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what the Devils did with Ty Smith, and it worked out. So you never know.
Yeah, fun fact: Ty Smith scored a goal against the Utica Comets last night. That was the only goal that the Wilkes-Barre Penguins, right,
Yeah.
scored. Just a little fun fact.
Comets still won by a lot.
Comets still won by a lot. But moving back to the Pacific Division, the Kings able to move up into second, Seattle dropping down to third again. Again, overtime losses. So, it'll be something that's going to get sorted out. Kings have 4 games on Seattle. 4 games. And they've lost 1 more game in overtime. So that's the only reason they're above them. So that'll all sort itself out right now.
I mean,
You go. Go right
I
ahead.
was looking a couple days ago. I'll just take a check of the standings.
Yeah.
The Kings surprised me for being there. I didn't think I
be
hadn't really
second in
been.
the
I didn't really
Pacific?
been paying attention to them. I thought they were kind of just around there. But I mean, you said they do have 4 games on hand.
Yeah, compared to Seattle.
Seattle's played 46. The Kings have played 50. But they're there, and they're 1 game from. They've
This man
they
Kevin
played one more-
Fiala's
they
a
played-
stud.
they've played one more game than Vegas, and they're almost there for first in the division.
Yeah.
It's surprising. I mean, you don't really hear them being talked about.
Their players are underrated. You know what I mean? That's what it really
they
is.
do have a
Like,
lot of. They do have-
Kopitar is still there. First of all, he's
Yeah.
been there for his life. And then on defense, Drew Doughty's underrated, and they just have some good guys: Victor Arvidsson, Adrian Kempe. Fiala's also a great depth guy.
and it's also they're kind of big part of. I don't know if they had a rebuild, but kind of the big centerpiece going forward. They thought was going to be Quentin Byfield. And he's put up 8 points this year. I mean, they had, but he hasn't really done much as a player so far. But they're still getting production from, they have all these guys on their team that's putting up Drew Doughty's.
Yeah, Byfield was out for like 2 months, and that
Yeah.
was the big reason that he wasn't able to
Yeah.
put up what he's. But he's
And
back
they-
on the ice now, and he's been
Yeah.
healthy for since Christmas time.
Yeah.
So he'll bring it back up. But yeah, the Kings team, they just kind of like, you look at Edmonton, you're like, they should be there. Or even the way
Yeah.
Vegas is playing, or Seattle, or even Calgary, you thought could have been
Yeah.
there, but it's LA.
Yeah. They don't really have, a standout top guy like all these other teams have. They just kind of have all these guys contributing,
I feel
just
like
playing well.
if anyone would be Fiala, that'd be their standout
Yeah, but not
top
like-
guy. But
not
not
like
their
a-
superstar. Yeah.
like a,
Like McDavid and Draisaitl.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Calgary has
Huberdeau's there.
has Huberdeau. All these teams just seem to have that player that draws, could draw a lot of fans in, but they just kind of don't. But they're playing well, and that's all you have to do. You don't need that superstar player. You just need a balanced team, and you could go far.
Yeah, like San Jose's at the bottom, Anaheim's at the bottom. They're garbage. They're not doing nothing anytime soon. Vancouver, again, bad week, with all, but not even their play on the ice is what everyone's worried about. You know what I mean? Everyone's just thinking about the head coaching situation. Their one win this past week against Chicago, so like, does it even count? Of course, but Calgary, I don't know what's going on with them. They just seem to be like meddling in the middle, kind of like they beat Tampa, but then they lost to Colorado, lost to Nashville, so they just kind of coasting right now. They'll figure it out. Not much change in that division, but Edmonton is on the way up, and I believe Calgary has the second wild card spot out west. So amid having a bad season, they're still there. They're still there, but they have 2 games on Minnesota, and they've lost 5 more games in overtime. So that's 2.5 wins almost. You know what I mean?
Did any of you see the video of Daryl Sutter's press conference talking about Jacob Pelletier?
I don't believe so.
Where it was Pelletier's NHL debut, and the reporter asked head coach Daryl Sutter what he thought of his performance, and Sutter goes, "Wait, what number was he again?" And
I did see that,
he looked at his sheet, and he just read off the sheet. He played 6 minutes. He had 1 shot on goal. He had 32 seconds on the power play. He just read off the sheet, and it's you are the head coach. And he said something else he's 21 years old. He's still got a long way to go. And it's and that's been a thing with Sutter, that where the Flames are kind of not a great destination for prospects because they have a head coach who
doesn't know their name.
Who doesn't know their name and automatically assumes that if they're young, they're just not good. And that's not always the case. Jack Hughes is 21 years old right now. He seems to be fitting in pretty well. There's plenty of players. Connor Bedard is 17. What if he went to Calgary? Would he not play until he's 25?
Can't even vote yet.
It's just I don't understand how you could be a head coach and just
not know your players.
Yeah, and how would you feel if you're Pelletier? You're owned by this organization, and your own head coach is basically dismissing the fact that you even existed on the ice.
Last guy to do that was Urban Meyer. Remember that?
Well, Urban Meyer, it was a lot different. He didn't
Yeah.
know Aaron Donald. I'm sorry. He was like, "Who's number 99?" So he was like, "Is that number 99 on the Rams?" Yeah, This is a guy making his debut, and he's like, "Who are we talking about?"
Yeah.
But yeah, Urban. You don't want to. If you're Daryl Sutter, you don't want to be in conversation
Yeah.
with Urban Meyer.
Daryl Sutter.
No one wants to be, unless
Daryl Sutter right now unless he gets it together. But we're gonna move on here. Edmonton holding first wildcard spot. Calgary in the second. They're holding strong. They've been there forever. Who knows if one of them will be able to finally crack the top 3 in their division? It seems like they're 2 points away. Edmonton's 2 points away. Calgary 4. Just someone shake it up. I'm tired of seeing the same 3 teams. But we're moving on now to the Central Division. And this has a big shakeup here. So Dallas is still out in front, which they will so get caught by the Jets. Dallas is only ahead of the Jets because Dallas has 8 overtime losses compared to Winnipeg's 1. That's legit the only reason. Winnipeg has 3 more wins. And Dallas is only ahead by a point, so they will catch them. They're so going to catch them. Make no mistake about it. Josh Morrissey, Kyle Connor, studs. Hellebuck, stud. That Jets team is one of the best in the league. They're going to get caught. And Colorado, they're back. The Avs are back. They've won 6 straight games, beat Calgary, Vancouver, Seattle, and Washington this week. They played themselves from 5th in the Central to 3rd into a playoff spot, so they're getting my team of the week. Incredible for them. They won every game. They've been on a tear. AJ was saying all the time, they're going to be fine. He thinks they're going back-to-back, actually.
They could. They got that. They got the talent.
He thinks they're going back-to-back. And why not? They're 3rd right now, so they have to go through Winnipeg first, as of right now. But it's going to most likely be Dallas at the end. But I see them taking it. And now, under them, in 4th in the Central, Minnesota, who single-handedly, they were hot. They won 6 straight games earlier this year, and they played themselves straight into not in a playoff spot. They lost all 3 games this week. They lost to Tampa Bay, they lost to Carolina, and they lost to the Florida Panthers. They let Lindell score at the very end of the first. Then they let Verhaeghe score on a power play at the very end of the second. And then Forsling scored. Reinhart scored an empty netter. Florida won that game, and Minnesota has played themselves out of a playoff spot single-handedly in 1 week from being 3rd. So you get my L of the week. Now, while we're on the topic of the Central Division, Colorado going all the way up. Nathan McKinnon's back, and he's on fire yet again. I usually saw him as the postseason performer, but here he is getting his regular season on. And even though Dallas, I believe they should be 2nd, I'm not going to, discredit Jake Ettinger and Miro Heiskanen. You know what I mean? They're playing incredible hockey right now. Both of those guys at the top of their game. And that's why Dallas isn't 1st. Under them, what you got for them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Dallas, I saw them a couple weeks ago. I was at that Rangers-Dallas game.
You were at the Rangers-Stars game?
With 1 second left.
Oh, the Keandre Miller game.
Yeah,
game.
that was insane. But Dallas, for most of that game, looked fantastic. They looked like, they just looked like a sound hockey team. They didn't really let the Rangers get much, and when they did, Jake Ottinger was playing terrific. He just didn't see that last goal. He didn't see the Keandre Miller goal, and he was, everyone got But just very, they looked like a very good team to me, and I didn't really, I don't really like keep track of like the Central Division like
I
that
got you.
much.
I got you. Yeah.
So I know like who's in what spot, but Dallas number 1.
I think
it did
Winnipeg will
surprise
catch
me.
him. For sure.
I think Winnipeg will. But Dallas did look like a pretty good team in that game. I mean, they had the lead. It looked like they were going to win a 1-0 game. But just a very good team. They'll make the playoffs. I don't know how far they could go. I don't know how they could stack up. If they keep playing and they face a Vegas or an Edmonton.
As of right now,
Seattle.
yeah, as of right now they'd be playing Calgary. No, Edmonton. They'd be playing Edmonton as of right now. Yeah, I believe so.
No, they have Dallas is 64 points. Calgary is 55. Calgary's 8. Dallas
Calgary's
would be
8. Is
Dallas is the
Dallas over Vegas right now? You're right.
Yeah,
So yeah, Dallas
yeah.
would be playing Calgary right now. Well,
Well, I just want to add that goaltending is very, very important, obviously, and Dallas sits second in the NHL in team save percentage, .918 as a team. So that's been a huge difference. I mean, us Devils fans have seen with Vitek Vanacek, like you have, and you guys Rangers fans with Igor have seen it plenty of times. If you have good goaltending, you could steal some games that you probably shouldn't have won, and that means a lot in the long run of a season. So that's been a huge part of Dallas' success because we feel it as Devils fans, and our team save percentage is 10th in the league at .907. So Dallas second in the league, .918. I mean, they are really stealing a lot of games, and that's mainly due to the play of Jake Ottinger.
I believe, 100%. Ottinger had 3 games where he only gave up 4 goals in those 3 games. He had a huge stretch there, and that Dallas team is good, and they've been holding on. They've just been holding on to first and won't let it go. Under them, I talked about how Colorado's there, Minnesota's there, now out of a spot. Nashville under them, they just went down more because of Colorado coming up. St. Louis ain't doing much. Arizona's bad. Chicago's terrible. So the Central, Colorado played their way back in. Good for them. Minnesota, figure it out, or else you won't be in the playoffs either because Calgary's above y'all.
Can I
Yeah.
just have to butt in. There's a very, very big news involving watching games on TV. The Bally Sports channels, Sinclair's sports channels, which is Bally Sports, which
Yeah.
the game we're watching on right now.
Yeah, Bally Sports is huge. A lot of teams
They're-
use Bally Sports.
They're preparing for bankruptcy.
Oh, boy.
wow.
I saw that includes 12 NHL teams.
Yeah, the Panthers use
So-
Bally Sports, yeah.
Yeah.
Bally Sports Florida.
So this, I don't know how it's going to affect how people watch games. There could be a lot of new channels, but this is I just saw it. It just broke like right now. So
Breaking the news on Breaking the Ice.
yeah, so it could just be very. So just watch out, I guess, for
Watch
Could
out
be-
if Bally's gone.
yeah, there could be new, a new.
Yeah,
Way to
a
watch
new
a
wave, a new wave of watching NHL games. ESPN Plus, that's why.
Yeah.
Bally Sports was initially Fox Sports.
Yeah, it was Fox
correct?
Sports for years. Yeah,
Okay, so now Bally and now bankrupt. Wow,
yeah.
that was quick.
Bally Sports came out. I think 2 years ago they got instilled. From what I remember, watching Panthers games. That's the best of my knowledge. But we're gonna move on now because we got all the Metropolitan fans in here. It's that division. That division, as I called it. First of all, I want to say Carolina is still at the top. So the Rangers fans and Devils fans, you're not the best as of right now. Even though Carolina is only at the top, again, due to the fact that they lost 4 more games in overtime than the Devils have. So, that's a good enough reason to be at the top, right? That's a good enough reason to be better than the Devils.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately. But they won their 2 games this past week. They beat the Wild. They beat the Islanders. Both have a score of 5-2. But let's roll right into the team right there in second place, the New Jersey Devils. 2-1 this past week. What happened with the Kraken game? Talk about the Kraken game first.
Justin, you could go ahead. Get us
Yeah,
started.
it wasn't. I think Daniel would agree with me. The Devils did not play good that game.
No.
They did not deserve that win that game. But here's the thing.
Still got a point, though.
They did get a point. Like our fellow Rangers fans always said, there's no quit in New York. There's also no quit in New Jersey. And there really is no quit in New Jersey right now, because this is the third time in a row now and where the Devils have pulled the goalie with the 6-on-5, and they scored, and they got the point, and eventually in some games they got the other point. So in this game, unfortunately, they did not get the point in overtime off a weak shot. Who scored the overtime goal? Seattle?
For Seattle, that was
Andrei Burakovsky.
Yeah.
Andrei Burakovsky. But yeah, I mean, Blackwood played great that game. And I don't like something that bothers me is Devils fans hate on Blackwood. But honestly, he's been good as their number 2 goalie, in my opinion.
I see both sides to it. I agree he gets way too much hate for the way he's playing, especially lately. He's made some big saves and kept us in it. And again, he's only our backup. Vitek's our number 1. But at the same time, the Seattle game was kind of a microcosm of Blackwood's career after the COVID season. He made some huge stops and was the only reason the Devils even got a point in that game. We had no business being in that game. Some crazy stops on all these grade A chances, and then in overtime lets up a soft goal. And that's just kind of how his career has been. Like he makes he saves the shots that should be impossible to save, and then the easy chances from the outside he lets them squeak by him, and it's just so frustrating because you're like, you just feel like it makes no sense. Like if you have a math test, you'd probably want to solve questions that are like 2 + 2 instead of like high-level calculus.
Mm-hmm.
If it was Mackenzie Blackwood, he'd probably get 2 + 2 wrong, but he'd nail the calculus.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. He's just been a giant question mark. He's been healthy, he's not been healthy. He's shown good signs, but he's just never fully put it together. And I feel like to make a playoff run, that they can't rely solely on Vitek. They need a 1B who is concrete, and you know what you're going to get out of him, and you don't always know what you're going to get out of Blackwood. That doesn't mean I'm giving up on him. That doesn't mean I think he's the worst goalie in existence like a lot of the fan base does. That I don't understand. But it's just, it's like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because it's not his fault. It's not his fault he's gotten injured. He's shown signs of playing well, but he was dominant in the 2019-20 season, and he has never truly returned back to that form. So I think that's what's most frustrating for a lot of fans.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So now, 3 days later, they take on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and AJ ran from the smoke, bro. He ran from the smoke.
He's too scared. He went to the game as well. And
let's hear about it,
He
boys.
got to see that
He got to
Dougie
see
Hamilton OT winner right up close. But
Yeah.
that was another game where the Devils did not play well. I mean, they were sloppy. That's what it came down to. Jack Hughes scored an insane goal to kick off the game. They didn't score the rest of regulation. They only gave up that one goal. But again, Vitek made some huge stops, including one on Ryan Poehling where he reached down desperation, stopped with his blocker, then it hit the crossbar and stayed out. Vitek has stolen us a lot of games lately, and that was definitely one of them because he's the reason it was able to get into overtime, even though the Devils did not play a good game at all. And what happens in overtime, it seems like it happens every overtime now for the Devils. They draw a penalty, have that power play, and then you just feed it to Dougie Hamilton. And
Douglas.
He just
Douglas Hamilton
hammers it past the goaltender. I mean, it's happened 3 or 4 times just this season now. And he has an absolute missile of a one-timer. I mean, there is no way that the goaltender even saw that puck. Like that just has to, like, in the blink of an eye, it's past you. There's nothing any goalie can do about that. And that's been huge for us. I mean, Dougie's on pace to have one of the best seasons of a defenseman all time for the New Jersey Devils. It's something they've lacked so much in offensive defensemen. And yeah, he's had his defensive woes, but with the points he's putting up, you can deal with it because he's almost at a point per game pace. I know the Rangers are blessed with Adam Fox, so you guys are getting a little spoiled, but we haven't really had that. And to have someone just take control offensively like this, be able to successfully quarterback the power play, just get shots through and score 15, 20 goals in a season from the blue line, like that is something that's huge to our team and has really propelled us forward. And I know people say, well, he was on the team last season, you guys weren't good, but he was hurt most last season. He broke his jaw. He clearly wasn't himself the whole second half of the season. So seeing this healthy Dougie Hamilton has been so fun to watch because he's a force offensively, and I think if he was able to play even an ounce of defense, he'd be in the conversation.
An ounce of defense.
He'd be in the conversation for possibly the best defenseman in the game. I'm not saying he would be, but he'd definitely be up there. But because his defense isn't great, that definitely holds him back a little bit. But like I said, when you're putting up the amount of points he's putting up on a nightly basis, I mean, he's basically almost a lock for a point per game, especially lately. It's been really, really, really fun to watch, and it's just, like I said, it's just so nice to have someone like that on the Devils, because the closest thing we've had to that is Damon Severson. And no offense to Damon Severson, I mean, he's chipped in on offense occasionally. I'm not saying he's bad in that regard, but he's not an elite offensive defenseman. And now we have that. Looking at the stats, Dougie has 11 points in his last 10 games, and that's been pretty consistent on how it's gone lately.
I just want to put it out there. Jack Hughes for Hart. Hughes for Hart. I mean, I feel like we could actually make a legit case about it now.
Yes,
Look,
he's not beating McDavid.
He's not.
I was gonna say
no.
McDavid has won the Hart already.
I agree.
I promise you that I have a brain.
But
I know McDavid's winning, but Jack Hughes needs to be in the conversation.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that pass he made yesterday. He would have got cross-checked into the boards head first and was still able to get that pass to Dougie. First of all, amazing for the Devils to come back with a minute left. They had so many chances in that third period, and it seemed like, it was going to be one of those games where the Devils couldn't put the puck in the net. But no, Dougie just throws it at the net, and it goes in.
Just get pucks on net.
Exactly.
That's Dougie Hamilton is one of the best defensemen in the league, and just getting the puck through to the net. And that's exactly what he did last night. Literally throw it there. See what happens. It doesn't hurt. Get bodies. We have the extra guy on the ice. You never know, and it deflects off Vegas and in. And that's just what you need. Devils of the past have been so timid and waiting for the perfect pass, the perfect shot, and it never works. And here's Dougie just taking charge. He's like, just hammer it to the net. And more often than not, it's worked, and it's resulted in huge things for our team. And like you just said, no quit in New Jersey. I mean, it did have that feeling. Like, if it was last year, the Devils do not win that game. There is no way.
No way.
They're waiting for the perfect shot, giving it up. Vegas has the empty net. We're going home sad. It's 3-1. Yeah. And going back to Jack Hughes, I was there last night, section 1, row 5. So I was right up close, and every time Jack Hughes gets a puck on his stick, it's like, biases aside, it's magic.
Yeah.
Like, he is just surreal. I mean, John, I'm sorry. I know you were at the Devils-Rangers game where he scored 2 goals and sent it to OT.
Oh, man, that stinks. That's brutal.
And he's learning. I mean, his first year in the league was atrocious. He was just not good at all. His second was a little better, but he still wasn't good. He got bounced around like a ping pong ball. Yeah. Now he's finally learning how to bounce off hits, how to play the game the right way, get into the hard areas without compromising your body and without being in vulnerable positions. And now that he's learning that, he is a superstar. 18 points in his last 10 games for Jack Hughes, and you kind of expect at least 2 points a night from him. I mean, last night, for his standards, wasn't even that great. He was kind of invisible.
He didn't play that good.
He gave away the puck a lot. He definitely wasn't on his A game. Still found a way to pick up 2 assists. Yeah. And that's what great players do. Even on their off nights, it was the same thing with the San Jose game. That was probably the worst game I'd seen him play all season. And what does he do with about 40 seconds left? Scores to send it to OT. That's just, like I said, it's what superstars do. They find a way to make it happen. That's just been the Devils as a whole. They've found a way to make it happen, which is so rare because for the last probably decade we've watched them, they haven't ever been able to find a way to make it happen. And that's finally different. The culture is changing. We have a young core. I'm feeling really good about this. And if they can manage their pieces the right way, because we still got a lot of good prospects in the pipeline.
Yep.
Simone Nemitz, I was going to say Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, even Graham Clark is tearing it up in Utica. Shakir Mukhamadullin.
Oh God.
I mean, we have just tons of talent in the pipeline, and they're all so young, and it's just it's exciting as long as they manage it the right way and don't give out any stupid contracts or anything that's just if they have an ounce of common sense, there's no reason that the Devils shouldn't be contenders for a long time.
I see what you're saying now. So now, 31 wins, second in the Metropolitan, the New Jersey Devils. Daniel, switch that mic over to John Gyftopoulos.
Let's see.
We're going to talk Rangers hockey now, boys. All right. Rangers fans over here. 1-1 this past week. What happened with the Bruins game? Talk to me about that.
I mean,
I know they're the best team in hockey. You know what I mean? But, like, still.
Always a tough game against them. They just,
yeah. Yeah. That's all you kind of got to say for playing the Bruins. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Zaka, Bergeron. It was 3-0 real quick, right?
Yeah. It was 3-0 real quick. I mean,
then
the
Ben
Rangers,
Harper scored, but that was pretty much it.
The Rangers,
it was pretty much over when it started.
The Rangers really, they're one of, you don't know what team you're gonna get. There's some nights where they could be, they look like they're the favorites to win the Stanley Cup, like they did, like they did on Monday, and then they have this game against the Bruins where, they have, it's against a good team, but they lose 3-1.
They had their backup goaltender Jeremy Swayman out there, and he's been on fire for that Bruins team.
Like, if you're trying to gauge like the Rangers, they had 2 straight games against Minnesota and Dallas, 2 straight, just like glued to your seat. They had
shootout and overtime.
Shootout win.
Overtime win against Dallas.
Overtime win. Just games that you just couldn't believe happened. And then the next game they lose 2-1 to Montreal.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of inconsistency. And I feel as if, they've had. Thank God that they have the goaltending that they do. Because if they didn't have Igor Shesterkin, there'd probably be a couple games they wouldn't win, and maybe they're sitting. They're not sitting at third.
They're third right now.
At third in the division, maybe they're sitting like right out of a wild card spot. That's how they were last season. It seemed as if the first 2 months, the first 2/3 of the season, basically.
Last year they were top 4 finish.
Was Igor Shesterkin and just him going crazy. They would win the games, but when they did get to the trade deadline and got a couple more players, they were scoring, they were playing well, and then they went, they were 2 wins away from going to the Stanley Cup final. But they're just sometimes they get, it's kind of infuriating a bit because they look at sometimes like they could be so good, and you're like, yes, they're gonna, because they haven't really done what they did. They haven't really made a run this year where they just keep winning and they just keep looking. They've had, they had a good stretch where they were, I believe, 13-4-2, which is really good, but they had just a couple losses in there, which is so demoralizing.
I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, they just have, they have the win against Dallas, and they lose to Montreal, and they beat Columbus. Everything looked good. And they lose to Boston bad. They lose to Boston.
Then they destroy Florida. And dude, I think I was thinking about going to that game. The tickets were expensive, and oh my, good thing I did not.
We were gonna go.
We were gonna go, but you know what? I dodged a bullet there.
And I think we'll see what this team is made of going forward, because they have Toronto tonight, then they have Vegas, and then they have the All-Star break, and then they coming out of the All-Star break, they have a very, very tough schedule.
Tough stretch, yeah.
They have Calgary, Vancouver, and Seattle at home. Then they're at Carolina, and then they're off for a couple days. Mm-hmm. Then they're at Vancouver, but then they have to go. They're out there, and they have Edmonton. They have Calgary. Usually those games, at least last year, the Edmonton and Calgary games stayed up till 12 whatever
1 a.m.
1 a.m. and both games were Matthew Tkachuk put the puck through his legs. The Connor McDavid when he skated through five guys.
2 highlight reel goals.
2 highlight reel goals back to
Back-to-back
back.
nights.
I was about to go to bed. I was like, why is this happening? But they just have a tough schedule going
Well,
forward.
now Tkachuk is in Florida, so you don't got to
Yeah.
worry about that.
I think I saw that they have a very they have the hardest strength of schedule going forward. Or they're top 5 in there, and they actually have. I didn't even wow. I'm just looking ahead to March. I know it's.
Yeah, I got you.
They play Pittsburgh 3
look at
times
that.
in 1 week.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Those are gonna be big.
Wow. So y'all
that's
gotta-
gonna be huge.
So we're gonna
three
need you
behind
guys
us right
and
now.
AJ
Yeah.
on here after that
That-
week.
that
So
could be-
100%.
Listen, I know it's thinking ahead. I know it's a lot, but this is that's going to be their time because they have 3 with Pittsburgh and 2 with Carolina.
And you got Washington in there too. Who's also
Yeah, in
pretty
Washington,
close to us.
and that's gonna be the time they have. And I
yeah,
think
because Pittsburgh's 2 games under pretty much. They're right there in the 4th. They moved up to 4th in the Pacific. Jake Gensel's been great for them this past week, and Washington dropped down to 5th. The Islanders look bad. They just
Yeah,
lost all
yeah.
4 games this week. They could have taken L of the week, but I wanted to give it to Minnesota because they were 3rd and they played themselves out of the playoffs. But otherwise, it would have absolutely been the Islanders. Justin raising his hand. Yes, you're allowed to speak, sir.
I've been desperate to talk about this. The New York Islanders, in their last 10 games, they're 1-6-3, and they've averaged 1.7 goals a game over this.
Oh,
stretch.
my.
see,
That's the problem. They cannot score goals.
yeah,
It's pretty simple. When you get guys like Kyle Palmieri, Zach Parise, what do you expect? They're 33 years old or something like that, and you expect to score goals. Barzal's not a goal scorer. Honestly, their only real goal scorer is Andres Lee, and he's not even having that crazy of a season. They have nobody that can put the puck in the net, and I feel like that's been a problem for the New York Islanders a lot because it seems like over the past few years when they've been good, they've relied on their defense and their goaltending and stuff like that.
Yeah, 2 years ago, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And yeah, exactly. And the fact that they had Barry Trotz, everybody was like, "Oh, he's an amazing coach. He structures the Islanders so well." But now the Islanders, now that Sorokin cannot win them every game, Sorokin's still having a good season, and their defense has declined a little bit. And the fact that that's happened it's showing that the Islanders have no offense whatsoever. So I don't know what the Islanders are going to do. They're not going to the playoffs as far as I'm concerned because
No.
they're not
No.
jumping Pittsburgh. They're definitely not jumping the Rangers. They're not jumping
Right
Capitals.
now, it's Penguins, Washington.
I-
That's the 2 spots in the.
At this point,
East.
I see the Islanders finishing below 500 this season. And remember that I said that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was watching because it was in between when the 2 NFL playoff games were.
Yeah.
And the Islanders game was the only one, the only thing on, and it was on MSG. And I turned on. They were playing Carolina. Carolina went right out of the gate and scored 2 goals. And watching that, it just looked like the Islanders had nothing. They did go on to tie it later in the period. They got the 2 goals back.
They got 2
But-
goals in 2 minutes. Yeah, also
But it was just it looked it was so they looked so lost. They looked so lost, and the fans were getting upset, and it was 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, watching the Islanders is like watching Jurassic Park.
Oh.
It's literally just a bunch of dinosaurs on the ice.
I go to sleep halfway through watching an Islanders game. It's the most boring hockey ever.
It's a bunch of veterans who aren't bad, but aren't good enough combined to have be part of a successful hockey team. They might be good role players on a contender, but
yeah, I got you.
they're not gonna be main guys for a team. That they are lacking probably 2 or 3 goal scorers, not just one. At least for the Devils, we know we're lacking one. If we get a Timo Meier, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I would love that. We know that's filling the hole we need. The Islanders have multiple holes, and they have guys like Wallstrom who have shown flashes, but they need a true elite goal scorer, and I really think they need to rebuild because guys like Kyle Palmieri, Zach Parise, like you said, they already lost. They had Zdeno Chara, Travis Zajac, Andy Green.
Yeah.
It's just that the Islanders seem to just be the Devils' retirement club, and now that phase is passing, it's still not over. But once guys like Palmieri and Parise, who are obviously on the decline in their careers, both of them, like you can't just plug those holes immediately with NHL talent. Like I don't know. To me, the only option is to rebuild. I know fans have really been getting restless, like Tanner said. There's a lot of Fire Lou trending on Twitter. It's not a good look. The Islanders, I mean, they're 2 games over 500, but they've lost 3 more games than they've won because that's that overtime point that we all love so dearly.
They've really lost 26 games and they've won 23. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they have the same amount of regulation losses as the Flyers.
And Philly's 20 and 29 sitting down there. They're not doing good. And Columbus is also really bad still.
Basement of the Metro right there.
Yeah, Columbus is just on a whole different stratosphere. But there you go. I've said it probably 8 times on this show, and this will be my ninth. Johnny Gaudreau, there's that winning hockey for you. Hope you enjoy.
You know what? The Islanders, I don't know what they were thinking in the offseason because I think they made, 0 free agent signings. They, ran it back with the same team. And, I don't know what they were expecting. Dan said, I think they should rebuild as well. They don't have much on this team. He says, Barzell, very old team. They got to make a decision soon.
Yeah, and
on something.
It's going to be like Corey Schneider with the Devils. If they keep this up, they're going to waste his career, Sorokin.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, we got 6 minutes left here, so we got a speed run over back into the situation here. But that is the Metro for you guys. Your team's doing well. Others, not so much. To the I was gonna say Pacific, the Atlantic Division, and the last one. Let's just talk about the fact that Boston has 6 straight wins. They don't even have 10 losses on the season yet. They're 38-9, and they're on fire again. They've won 6 in a row. Jeremy Swayman, the backup goaltender, had a 2-game stretch where he only allowed a single goal. So that's good. When your backup goaltender is elite, you're elite. Charlie McAvoy's great. David Pastrnak is great. He got into the All-Star game as a reserve. We'll get into the All-Star reserves as well. We have to get into that. So I'll speed through this here. Boston, last year's Panthers. They're going to lose in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that they're. There's no doubt in my mind that they're not winning the Stanley Cup this year. They'll lose to let's see who's even in the standings. They'll lose to
Tampa.
They'll lose to Washington in the first round.
Now they're gonna make it out the first round, play Tampa second round, then Victor Hedman and Vasilevsky come to play.
Tampa will just they'll make their run to the Stanley Cup final. I mean they didn't even look. They were
They're still looking good right now though.
They
Yeah.
have 3 straight years where they played in the Stanley Cup final. 2 of them were just kind of all right, they're okay, and then they just kept winning in the playoffs.
One of 4 teams to have 30 wins, Tampa so far.
Yeah.
Tampa, Jersey, Winnipeg, and Boston, only teams with 30 wins.
Yeah, every time I look at Boston's record, I just think about that Columbus-Tampa Bay playoff series a few years back where they just got swept. And there's that famous, I forget
the
what
line
was
to
on
Patrick.
Twitter.
Is it Patrick Liney or someone else?
No, I'm talking about the tweet where it was we're sorry, we know this is not what you wanted to hear.
I forget. The team tweeted. It's one of the greatest.
Yeah. We know this is not the ending you imagined, and that's just what I feel like we're gonna get a tweet like that from the Boston Bruins once the playoffs start.
But then Tampa, that started the dynasty right there. That tweet started the dynasty.
You're right.
I'm gonna disagree with all you real quick.
Wait, I think I found it. So wait, I feel, it's we don't have. Okay, here's the official tweet from the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's loading. We don't have any words, and we know you don't want to hear them. We understand your anger, your frustration, your sadness, everything you're feeling. We get it. This isn't the ending we imagined, and certainly not the only one we wanted. Thank you for being there the entire way.
And they won the cup next 2 years.
That was a phenomenal moment. I know they won the cup the next years. That was a phenomenal moment.
That right there, that tweet started. That started.
Because they didn't have to tweet that out, and they did, and everyone. Yeah.
That was the trailer for the movie.
Justin disagrees. Let's hear it.
I just want to say, Boston Bruins are winning the Stanley Cup.
No way.
And you guys are gonna say no way. I've never seen a team. I don't think at least in my life.
That's what they said about the same Lightning team.
It doesn't matter. I haven't seen a team. The past doesn't matter. I haven't seen a team this dominant. They just dominate teams. Goaltending, they have the best goaltending duo in the last probably 10 years I've seen. Their defense is amazing. They score goals in opportune times. And I don't know, this team's just looking amazing. I just want to say, Buffalo Sabres, watch out for them. They're hot right now.
I was about to get to that because Buffalo's 4th. They won 4 straight games this past week. They went crazy. And Florida 2-2 this week, so they dropped down to 5th from 4th in the Atlantic because, they lost to the Rangers and the Penguins last night in a football game. The score was 7-6, but Brett Maher kicked the extra point for the Florida Panthers. So, they lost 7-6. Penguins scored a touchdown. The Lion King run is over. Detroit not doing nothing. Ottawa not doing nothing. Montreal not doing nothing. For Tampa, though, Steven Stamkos is still playing great hockey. And that's where the Atlantic really stacks up. Boys, we got 2.5 minutes left. I just want to run down one thing. The NHL All-Star Reserves, how did y'all feel about those?
Horrible.
Garbage. NHL, what are you doing?
No, look, I get it. Like, who is it? Panarin, Sorokin.
Fox.
Okay.
Panarin, Fox, Sorokin.
Look, I'm good with Fox. He's the best defenseman in the league by far, and I'll never change my mind.
I
about that.
don't think the
But-
Twitter vote counted for anything.
But yeah, I'm not sure. But Panarin, amazing player. But I feel like either Nico or Brat really deserve that spot this year. Maybe they'll still get it if a player goes down or is not able to play in the All-Star game. But I don't like the fan voting. It's so annoying because, of course, you're going to vote Panarin over Nico Hischier or Jesper Brat. It's just what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's inevitable happening. But I really hope Nico or Jack, especially Jesper Brat, he's never been there before.
Last
and
man in still has to come, right?
He deserves it.
Is there no last man in voting this year?
So.
I don't know.
That's
I'm not sure.
unfortunate, but
no,
in the Pacific, Draisaitl gets in, Bo Horvat got in, and Stuart Skinner.
Disco Stew.
Yeah,
There's not that many great goaltenders in the Pacific, though.
I hear what you're saying.
if we're going by preliminary votes in the Metro, it was counted by fans on Twitter, and the NHL clearly did not actually count the votes. It should have been Marty Necas number 1, Keandre Miller number 2, Jesper Bratt number 3. So I don't know where this came from because none of those 3 got in. And if it truly was a fan vote and they were just counting the votes, that clearly didn't happen because none of those 3 got in, and it seemed to be more of a
It's probably players and coaches
yeah,
figuring it out.
But
Well, they did have the vote online too, I believe.
In the
like,
Central.
like it wasn't just the Twitter thing, I believe.
In the Central, Mikko Rantanen got in and Nathan McKinnon got in, so Colorado's got 3 All-Stars. Connor Hellebuck got in. And in the Atlantic, Pasternak got in. Austin Matthews and Andre Vasilevsky. Saw a lot of people calling for Cole Caulfield to get in, and he didn't make it.
Well, he wouldn't been in anyway. So he's out for the season.
Yeah, that's true. He would have been able to play
So
the
he wouldn't
game
been able
anyway,
to play.
regardless.
Yeah, poor Montreal, man.
We got 20 seconds here on Breaking the Ice. Boys, final thoughts on the show.
I got 2 things to add.
Go.
Both things we covered over the show. First one, talking about Bally Sports. They are $55 billion. That's how much they owe. $55 billion.
As you are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, this is Breaking the Ice. Daniel, back to what you're saying.
Yeah, and so that's just astonishing. Second thing, we brought up Shakir Mukhamadullin. Well, just confirmed right now that he will be coming to North America next season.
Oh my God!
So
it's a miracle.
it's time, Devils fans. Get your Mukhamadullin jerseys.
Justin, your last words.
I'm excited for the Devils Rangers first round playoffs.
That's happening. It's a
Yep.
fact.
Tanner, what you...
Will Cooley makes his debut for the Rangers tonight. Let's go.
John, your debut and your final words of your debut.
Let's beat these Leafs tonight. Go Rangers.
All right, everyone.
beat
You
the
were
Leafs.
listening.
I don't like the Leafs.
Quick Penguins thing. Pittsburgh Penguins. What happened?
As you were listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, that was Breaking the Ice. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and let's go Panthers.